principal secretary positions. Interestingly, only 109 Kenyans out of the 2,517 applicants have been shortlisted for the principal secretary slots. Dr. Isaac, did you apply? Did you make an attempt to apply? Is your name there?
Chacha, I think I placed my application purposely not for, not because I expected to be shortlisted. Probably it could have been by luck if I would have been shortlisted.
But your name is not here.
But my name does not appear in the list. I think I'll have to accuse Public Service Commission where they have taken my application. But having said that, I think there are a bit of confusion on the application itself. You remember in the advert, they said a principal secretary. If you go to the advert, a principal secretary, and we thought because there was one vacancy which arose, they wanted to replace that. And if that was the case, then Kenyans would have applied if they knew there will be an overhaul that will be done for the principal secretaries or the accounting officers of state departments. Then quite a number of Kenyans who feel qualified for those positions will have applied and placed their papers there.
So you're
there are
taking an
others,
issue
I know
with
there
the
are quite
fact
a number of
the
friends.
PSC now, even in this communication here, says list of applicants and shortlisted candidates for the position of principal secretary to the public service. So it's not principal secretaries.
No, it's for principal
secretaries. So they could be
secretary.
misleading Kenyans with how
Exactly,
they want
because
it.
I remember there are quite a number of friends of mine
And by then they did
who
a
consulted me and they wanted 1 minute. Let me finish.
Clarification? Sorry?
Just to buttress his point,
Yes.
they did a clarification and said that there was only one vacancy.
Exactly.
Actually, they did a formal. So that story is one that actually needs, you can actually check back the statement they did as a clarification, a follow-up. It's online.
Yeah,
saying
so
that there was only one vacancy.
So I think
now that
Which
listing,
ministry? State Department.
there's one state department.
check.
I know there's one state department which is vacant actually, but one question that arises is that so long as your initial concept of engaging the public is not conclusive, then you have misled them. And therefore, I tend to think of all the 2,000 something people who have applied and 100 of them who have been shortlisted, we expect only one person to be picked out of that place. If the situation is otherwise, then I think it is time for our advocate to help us and put Public Service Commission onto task as to why the advertisement was not properly done. And they made clarification.
Actually,
also, Chacha,
I'm coming to
sorry,
you, Maliba.
on him, because it's a point that will escape. I'm trying to get the thinking of a person with a PhD in management, already in senior management, not being listed, and somebody with lesser qualifications and not in management, I know the list, being shortlisted.
Gabriel Aguda features.
Well, he's not even the one I'm talking about. but I know people. I know people there, PhD holders with long-standing management experience,
who are basically qualified
who
to
literally
fill the position.
They are there, but they've not been shortlisted.
We're going to scrutinize this list shortly. Wakili.
Yeah.
The fact that the PSC says the position of principal secretary, is it by maybe lack of choice of good words, or it's deliberate? Then they end up, out of the 109, they might end up being placed in all the state departments. Is there a possibility of that? And what happens if that is the case?
First and foremost, in saying that he doesn't understand the rationale between one with a PhD and experience and the other doesn't have, you will not believe. Away from that, you see, it's quite mischievous if you ask me, how they put it, because at the end of the day, it's very misleading. But then again, this is how this government runs its communication. I don't understand, which is quite unfortunate, because if any of those individuals there, the 109, believe that they are going to be part and parcel of a new shuffle in the PS system, then they realize it's only one person. Then most of them have been misled, and they have to ask questions why. Because who issued the vacancy? Why did they issue a vacancy that is ambiguous? Because if at all it was one post, you know,
So ordinarily clarified which state department.
Yes, and then
just saying principal secretary.
Because ordinarily, whenever there's a vacancy, let's say for example they want legal officers, they then put in brackets 2 or 1, but they fail to adequately show which exact post is being filled. So most of these people actually believe that the current PSs are going home and that they will be the new PSs. That's why I'm telling him he'll not believe. So if
Dr.
at all,
Isaac had at least actually the specific state department that is vacant. Which one?
I can't recall, unfortunately.
so if
Maliba, do you know it?
I actually have gotten the article online that Paul Farmer clarifies that only one vacancy.
Which state department?
I can actually, he's reading, he can actually check it out.
Please do.
Even as you check that out.
so you see,
It's actually for Veronica Mweni Nduva,
Yes,
who had
who
moved to the
left,
EAC.
yeah. Yes.
That he clarified the following day.
So EAC.
Yeah, so then this shortlisting does not
So
speak.
they should have specified
Yes.
for the EAC.
And the advert spoke about a vacancy. Now, this shortlisting, this one is a fraud.
he says
It's good it is coming from Maliba.
Yes.
The ruling
Head of
party.
policy.
Head of policy.
I mean, you know, public communication has got 3 principles: clarity, consistency, and differentiation.
Differentiation, yeah.
If that does not apply, you are inviting chaos, and this is where we are.
And this is why whenever we raise questions, the government says that they're being misquoted. Whenever we question anything they do, they say you are anti-government.
Well, Maliba, so if then it was to be specified that it's the EAC, at least someone with IR background, that's the international relations, should be among the qualifications that were to be set. But the fact that it was open, does it then, do we risk end up having principal secretaries who...
The reading of the advert then spoke about a vacancy in the office of the principal, as in one. Look at the reading.
But it had
The
not
reading of the
specified which
advert,
state
it
department.
didn't, but then the following day, there is a statement, and I've just shown you the article of Paul Farmer clarifying that it was one vacancy they were filling. Then when they shortlist, they're shortlisting for everybody. This cannot work that way.
But
We
then-
can't move this way.
But then again, we're in bread-based. You know, some people have to be absorbed. So maybe
But there's law.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Broad. But you see, at the end of the day, some people have to be absorbed somehow. So when you see some names appear, they'll tell you, oh, we did actually, there were interviews. You know, it's not by coincidence.
But
This
but
is
this
mischief.
can be challenged.
advert,
Is
yes,
a legal
there's the
issue.
procedure.
It is. There is a
If they
legal
end up
issue.
being picked,
Of course.
the shortlisted candidates,
Of course.
for the rest of the cabinet, the principal secretary slots.
Of course. And you see, I love this government because they are good business for lawyers. So let them continue. Because this is a case that is coming.
Maliba, so among the names that are shortlisted here, just perusing quickly, I can say the name of the former NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion, former KMPD USG, Dr. Fred Oluga, blogger Gabriel Oguda, among other names. So Wilson Sossion perhaps qualifies for the EAC.
No, I think those Kenyans that have actually been, some of those that you actually are mentioning, are actually qualified Kenyans. They have got a right to actually also apply for these jobs. I'd really love to see people like Sossion, for example. Sossion has actually been a soldier for this particular administration. He's one man I would really love to see take a higher office and work out, because he's experienced, he's done quite well, and if there's anything Sossion has actually been, is that he's been very consistent for this administration. And he's a long-serving civil servant and a public officer who stood out and championed for the rights of education, bettering society. Sossion is a name that if I were in a place where decisions were made, then Sossion would be a very good pick to actually also bring in the vibrance we saw at NAT, and how really Sossion has actually offered service to this country.
There's something Wakili stated about the broad-based government.
Yeah.
With the name of Gabriel Oguda featuring, could this be possibly a way to incorporate
I have a question for you.
the former
I have a
Prime
question.
Minister Raila Odinga's allies or associates?
I have a question for you. How many Gabriel Ogudas do we have in Kenya? There are definitely many. The name Oguda is both.
That's very
No.
Others,
There will be tears in his eyes. He will
When
just
these were being listed here,
Yeah.
they've stated not indicated which county Gabriel Oguda hails from. So it could be strategic.
It's mischief.
No, what I'm telling you is that I know the name Oguda is both Luya and Luo. And
maybe that's why they've not clarified which county
it is impossible.
He heads from.
It is impossible to actually for sure say that this is Gabriel Oguda. They are Zimio online Maverick. Yeah. So it could be any of those Ogudas.
We don't know whether he's still in Azimio. Is the CS?
Yes.
Energy CS.
Yes.
Chacha, I think it's important to understand that a principal secretary does not necessarily have to have skills related to the state department he leads.
But the technical persons,
he must,
compared to CSS.
No, I mean he is the accounting officer, not the technical person, because in the ministries we have technical people who are leading the technical process of the ministry. He makes a decision. He is a sole decision maker within the ministry. And so long as he has a basic education plus experience in government systems and how the government works, then it's a good bet for him to be appointed or her to be appointed. But one thing that traditionally we used to know is that PSS used to be picked from, because they are called the top public service technocrats. Yeah. They are picked from the mainstream of civil service. From historically, from the time our government started their work. But with the onset of devolution and the current two levels of government, PSS have become now a political appointees with no consideration of looking into whether these people understand how to manage systems and government affairs. Because governance is not about politicking. Governance is about systems that are already there, policies that are already instilled, and of course, change of policies with support from the technical team. And if you as a PS do not have knowledge on basic approach to policy making processes or even government financial management, and you are the accounting officer, decision making becomes very basically unstable.
Dr. Isaac, on the whole issue of incorporating the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's allies and maybe Uhuru Kenyatta's close associates, maybe the name of Dr. Oluga Ouma, I believe currently he's serving as the Chief of Staff in Siaya. Could this be an approach to reward now? It's believed before, actually late last year, that Raila Odinga will have gotten at least 15 to 20 slots. Are we likely to see this happening with this list?
That's likely to be.
And also possibly appointment of persons who did not apply, are not shortlisted, but they're going to end up as principal secretaries.
We will wait to see that, the last bit of your point, because we do not have any evidence showing that they are likely to pick people like that. It has happened before.
Especially if I get back to your point,
you know, chief of staff at the county government is equally the same level with the PS actually in the national government. It's only that the portfolio and the process, I mean, in terms of grading, there are what's called the job groups and the grading. So if he has applied to serve the national government from the county government, then he's actually the best bet.
Has it happened that we could have the names of shortlisted candidates for these positions, but the appointing authority can still pick names that are not on the list?
It's not possible. Because the PS position is actually one established in the public service. And as is, there's a process on how you end up there. There are other places where you can actually have a free hand, especially when there are offices that are created differently. But for a PS process, it has to be advertised by PSC. You have to be shortlisted, you have to attend interviews, and then of course the list is then forwarded to the president. So whatever way it is, there's no way that anybody, if there's any mischief, probably it could be where there are areas where they come from is not indicated, but that could just be an omission. That is a clerical issue. Dr. Oluga, for example, is actually a qualified Kenyan. You also have seen how much service is offered on this other side. So he's also a very good pick there. But let me say this. I think the question you're asking, Dr. here is a very unfair question. Because the PSS are civil servants. Civil service is open for every Kenyan. There are no Raila people, and there are no, when it comes to civil service and how PSC should treat everybody, there are no William Ruto people, and there are no, William Ruto is the head of state, and everybody in this country has got equal, should actually get an equal and fair chance when it comes to civil service. So there are no Raila people, and there are no Uhuru people, and there are no Ruto, they are only Kenyans.
From the time we started our conversation, Maliba has spoken as a government now.
Yes.
So his point now, he's trying to, placing himself where he belongs.
Yes.
No, it isn't. That is not true, because that is in principle by documentation. But in practice, we have never seen that.
In fact, that's what I'm getting to now.
We only stick by
three allies of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta will be vetted on Tuesday next week. That is the 14th. And the National Assembly has actually published or notified members of Parliament on the special sitting on Thursday next week to consider the reports of three committees. That is for the ambassadorial positions, high commissioners, the vice chair, and the commissioners of the Public Service Commission, and as well three nominees for the cabinet secretary positions, including Mutahi Kagwe in the agriculture docket. Wakili.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a member in the Senate who applied or who requested a special sitting to consider or to talk about, of course, the whole issue of abductions.
Yes.
But on the executive requests or considerations, it appears they're quick to give a special sitting.
You see, that is Senator Methu. You see, the most interesting thing is that, and I was coming to that before you even raised it, is that a parliament that refuses to debate or have a sitting on something as serious as missing Kenyans is a very sick parliament, if you ask me. Because these are people who are supposed to represent us. Because then we decide to get rid of parliament and represent ourselves directly. Because the abduction issue is a very serious issue. It's now become a global issue. It's being discussed everywhere now. You know, it's even making news at SABC, you see, and you have a candidate for AUC. Good luck with that. So at the end of the day, you look at how things are being done and you fail to understand. But then again, it's all about interest. The executive interest to them is more important as opposed to the people they are leading. But let me ask you a question. If there are no people tomorrow to lead, so you will be a government of who? Who will you be governing? That's a sad reality. And it's more or less about priority. Their priorities are their personal interest as opposed to what the people want at the end of the day. It's quite unfortunate that Speaker Kingi decided that whatever notice was issued was beneath the standard of calling for a special sitting, which is sad. At the end of the day, they are going to have this formality that is a charade of a vetting, where they usually ask them things that, you know, someone comes and declares their wealth without any tangible evidence as to some things. You know, someone says, I'm worth 3 billion. You haven't asked them questions as to that wealth, comprised of what, and you know. So, and then there are those who came back as cabinet secretaries, had, you know, I don't know which businesses they ran, but their wealth had gone up. You didn't ask them how that happened, what are you doing? So at the end of the day, I do believe that most of the things we do, like this list, is majorly formality. There are those people who will find themselves in those positions because they have been told, my friend, either apply or you will get into this position. And as you asked Maliba about the issue of government people, Raila people, Uhuru people, that's a sad reality. That's how things work in this country. There are those who get, you know, they usually say that loyalty is rewarded in installment, and then they punish disloyalty instantly. So loyalists are always going to find their way in government. That is why you see, for example, there are people who always find themselves in government. They speak ill of person X, like, for example, the Junets, the Johos, who used to talk about the current president. Then once they get into office, they're the biggest defenders. So it speaks of dishonesty, but then again, that is politics. We saw the past couple of years that Trump and Obama never liked one another. Obama called Trump all sorts of names. So did Trump. Yesterday, CNN, NBS, and their legacy media were shocked to see them cracking jokes. That tells you something as a voter, that these people, so long as their interests are aligned, they could care less about you. And now you can clearly see it by what they are going to vet this cabinet
Dr. Isaac, because much as already Speaker Moses Wetangula has notified members of Parliament about the special sitting come next week Thursday, to consider, of course, these executive appointments, is it high time the House Business Committee also sets the whole issue of abduction as the agenda of the House on that day?
It's a very unlikely, because the House operates in a system whereby the agenda that has been called for is the agenda that is on the table, and we have not seen that being placed on the Speaker's table. So you may find some few loyal members of Parliament to their electorates who will pop up and probably talk about that, but I know they will be told it is not in order, because the discussion is not on the table. But when you look at our parliamentarians and look at the kind of bills and the kind of debates or the kind of issues that they are called for, they are never innovative. Innovation has never existed in our parliamentary system, in that a member of parliament cannot just study the mood of the public, come up with a motion, ask to call for a special sitting, and discuss that to address issues directly affecting the society. You will see if you go back to all the things that they have made a special sitting for last year, you will find it was about appointments. It was about passing a bill that needs to be clearing financial content of or financial aspect of the executive. And we have never seen a single parliamentarian who comes out very clearly and saying that I stand for the common person, that is why I am there, and therefore we must address this issue. Have you even seen them talking about these abduction issues in the public gallery and in burials that they attend, other than attacking, either saying parents have not taken care of their children very well?
Quickly, Maliba, on the issue of abductions not being considered in 30 seconds or less.
Well, until I've looked at the order, the communication by the Speaker, there is that segment called H, any other business that is coming up. I hope and do pray that parliamentarians will actually use that, because at least there is a window on the order of paper that allows them to actually discuss that. But be that as it may, the issue of abduction is a national issue that is very serious, and it must be addressed. We cannot actually treat it as any other thing.
Well, allow me once again at this juncture to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be focusing on the issue of minting of coins shortly after 14.2 billion Kenyan shillings was paid to a Germany-based money printer to print new notes. Are our coins old? Are they insufficient? We'll be back with that conversation, and also on the Hustler Fund that all Kenyans, 25 million Kenyans that borrowed, have now been classified, being given a grade of their score that will block you from accessing Youth Fund, Uwezo Fund, among others. We'll be back with that conversation. Stay with us.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East and Central Africa. Arena 254. Join Aisha Wanjiku and Tony Mwirigi for all the artistic interviews fused with amazing entertainment conversations and sizzling hot live DJ mixes. Catch this and so much more every Saturday from 10 p.m.
Skuzi nimetizi na wakanesa manzi mkamba anishuko mirema.
Only on K24 TV.
We interrupt this program to bring you some breaking news.
Meet the team of undercover teenage spies working for a fictional version of the secret intelligence agency known as the MI9.
This keeps happening!
They had to strike a balance between school life and their job as secret agents.
First day back at school and we're gonna be late. Shh.
MI High. Every Saturday from 10 a.m. Only on K24.
Rabbit manure is the only animal manure that you can sweep and put it in your farm the same day. This week on Kilimo na Biashara, we focus on rabbit farming.
Rabbits actually is the healthiest